Hey everyone, welcome back. This game is from round 1 of the 2026 Chess.com Daily Championship featuring over 55,000 players. I finished first in my group and today I will be analyzing one of my games against the player who finished second in my group. I'm playing black and we get a Ruy Lopez opening which is honestly one of my favorites. It is classical, solid, and it allows both sides to slowly build their position. The game stays balanced for quite a while, nothing dramatic happens early, and this is usually a good sign in daily chess. Then, on move 18, my opponent made a mistake, and this is where things starts to turn. His bishop gets into trouble, and from that point on, the position becomes very difficult to hold. We transition into the endgame around move 25, and with an extra knight, the focus shifts to staying calm and converting the advantage without giving my opponent a counterplay. So in this video, I will cover the opening, a quiet move that traps the bishop without tactics, and how that advantage is calmly converted in the endgame. Let's start from the beginning. White starts the game with e4, I played e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop b5. That is known as Ruy Lopez. From here on, I choose Morpheus defense, which is a6, bishop a4, knight f6. He played knight c3, which is known as Tarrasch variation. I continued with bishop e7. He played d3. There's a simple threat in this position. He wants to remove the knight from c6 and then he wants to win the e5 pawn with a knight. So to stop this, I have to play b5. He played bishop b3 and then I simply played d6. Just defending my structure. In this position, he played h3, stopping this bishop going from g4. In these type of structures, especially in the Ruy Lopez, you should know one thing. This bishop is very important because it keeps putting a pressure on f7 or this whole diagonal. So I started with knight a5. Here, my opponent can't stop the exchange, which is going to happen there. So, and he probably doesn't want to have a double pawns on b3. So here he played bishop d5 and I trade this bishop with a knight and he captured back with knight takes d5 and finally simply I just castled. And here my opponent played bishop d2 attacking on the knight and I simply played knight b7 and here he castled. I continued developed and I played bishop e6 and here my opponent strike in the center by playing c4 and here this knight is becoming super strong. So I want to remove this knight from here and I played c6 and he could have go back but on e3 or c3, but it doesn't make sense to retreat the knight because after that knight can't go forward. So he just decided to capture the bishop. I capture back with the queen, and here my opponent played b3. His idea could defend the pawn because this is getting attacked twice. And here we got this position where we both have castled on the same side of the board. Center is kind of closed, not fully closed, and it's black to play. And I started my attack and I played f5. And here fun started. And here my opponent played bishop g5, attacking on the queen. And I can't capture the bishop because it is protected with a knight. So I simply move my queen on f7 because f file is about to get open. So I want my major pieces on the semi-open file. And here my opponent played c takes b5. I recapture a takes b5. And here my opponent did a mistake. And he played knight h4. So let's take a pause. Can you see why is this a mistake? Exactly. So the answer is f4. Only move which works in this position. And the problem is this bishop is having no escape. The bishop gets trapped. And there's no way he can do nothing about that. He played his best and he decided to go back on f3. I simply played h6. So the bishop is in danger and the only way to save the bishop is bishop h4. I played g5. And now if you see, the bishop is out of squares And finally, he has to take on g5. And now it's on him. He wants to have a bishop or knight. So he decides to take with the bishop. I capture back with a pawn, and then knight takes g5 happen. So my queen is in danger. I simply move my queen to g6. And here in this position, it looks like my king is open, which is true, but my opponent is not having too many pieces around my king. And if I count the material, I have at least queen and rook to guard my king, so which is safe for me. And his knight is in danger now. So he finally played knight takes e6. I played queen takes e6. And here, whenever you have less material, you should not trade the pieces. To complicate the game, you should play with all of your pieces and hope for the best. And he should have played f3, probably king h2, idea is g4, and he should try to open the king, and maybe he could be able to do some damage to my king. But here he played queen g4 check, and here his position is lost. The idea is simple. He wants to trade the queens. He's giving a check and attacking the queen. So I just capture, queen takes g4, h takes g4, and here in this position, it's move 25th, and we are in the endgame. I have an extra knight, but still I have to be precise to finish the game. And here, there are multiple moves I can play. I start with b4. The idea is I'm stopping him to play a3 because or a4 because of n peasant, because a3 is protected by a pawn and a rook. In this position, he played f3, just making the structure strong. And now it's time to use the extra piece which I'm having. And I started with knight c5, simply attacking the pawn, which is on d3. And here my opponent played rook ad1. He should have played probably rook fc1. The idea is if I take it, he can just take on c pawn, and his rooks are doing some job. But here, when he played rook ad1, he just gave me the pawn. So I just takes rook takes a2. And here he played rook f2. Again, the same rule. Whenever you are having extra material, you should trade. And whenever you are having less material, you should not trade. So in this position, I played rook f8. I want him to take so that my rook will be on the second rank and my rook will be very active. Now, for some reason, he decided not to take and he just played rook f1. And now I said, sure, you have given me the pawn. So I simply capture knight takes b3. The idea is I'm just about to go to d4 and where I will be enjoying my position. And here he played king h2. And my plan was simple, knight d4. It does two things. First of all, it is trying to take advantage of the pin if at any point of time rook moves. And second thing is I want to play b3, b2 and rook a1. And I will try to promote the pawn. And in this position, he played king h3, which is simply a mistake. So probably this is the last pause moment of the game. Did you see why is this a mistake? It just finishes the game instantly. And here the move is king g7. You can also play king f7, doesn't matter much, it's the same move. The idea is same. And the plan is rook h8 checkmate is coming. Because this pawn guards the square, he's just having no square left for the king. He decided his best and he played g5, and here he just helped me to finish the game on the spot. It is simply checkmate in 2, and I started with rook h8 check. King is having only one option, which is king g4, and here, yes, I just played rook takes h2, which is simply a checkmate because of a knight. The knight is guarding f5, king cannot go from there, and this is simply a checkmate. So that's the game. A 33 move win built on patience and structure rather than tactics. The bishop trap was a turning point. and once we reached the endgame with an extra night, it was about keeping things simple. This is the kind of chess I personally enjoy playing, especially in longer formats like daily chess. If you would like to see more games from this championship, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.